A very good evening to you and welcome to Matchday Live. We are in the capital for a huge Premier League game against Tottenham Hotspur. And it looks like they've lit their stadium up blue, which I'm very much enjoying for the night. Look at that view there. We will be bringing you the full team news very, very shortly. But you know by now that I like to live on the edge. So do you know what? I'm going to tell you something that you all desperately want to know. Because Erling Haaland is back and he does start tonight. Don't tell anybody else that I've told you. We'll give you the full team news very shortly. You can see there they are. There's Nico arriving at the London Stadium. There is Ruben Diaz, Bernardo Silva walking down the edge of the pitch. Some very, very early people in the stands as well. And that man, Kadir Kusanov, after his incredible performance against Liverpool. We will be talking about him in detail on the show today. And I've got a good old stat for you. You'll love this one. City have won 29 of their last 31 Premier League games played on a Wednesday. Something about playing on a Wednesday we absolutely love. Play on a Wednesday. 29 of the last 31 Premier League games have been won. And there he is, Erling Haaland. Not wearing the same trousers as everybody else, but he is playing tonight. So let's have a look now at the starting 11 for City for this evening. So there is 4 changes from the team that was beaten by Liverpool at the weekend. Edison in goal, and then it is Nunes, and that's Kusanov. Now our captain tonight, Ruben is back, Ruben Diaz. And then it is Yosho Vardiol. And then Nico. Kovacic and Savinho. And a very, very exciting attacking lineup there because Marmoush also plays and so does Jeremy Doku. And there, I've told you already, that man is back. Up the top, it's Erling Haaland. So that is the starting 11 for tonight's game against Spurs. It is a 7:30 p.m. kickoff tonight. So welcome to Matchday Live. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We are so happy to have your company ahead of tonight's big Premier League game. City taking on Spurs in London, 7:30 p.m. UK kickoff. And joining me in the studio for tonight's game, two wonderful guests. One that used to terrorise defences, one that used to terrorise attackers, if that is fair. Please welcome joining me, of course, the defensive rock, Keith Curle, and the attacking wizard, Shaun Wright-Phillips. Gents, thank you.
I know. Well.
Keith, thanks for being here, because if we're going to ruin it, the magic of TV, you made it by the skin of your teeth.
Traffic. I hate traffic, and I hate traffic jams, and I hate being late, so my apologies, but I made it.
Keith was here with about 30 seconds to spare, but he's here, and that's all that matters. But Shaun, you were here massively early, so you made up for it.
I got told a time, so I came at that time that I was supposed to be here.
Well, you are both here and we are so very happy to have you. We're happy to have you all as well. And of course, we are going to have a chat now about the team. So you've seen that starting 11, Shaun, and obviously the big team news for everybody has got to be that Erling Haaland is back.
Yes, for some. Mine's is I'm happy to see Doku and Savinho playing again. Personally, after their performances that I got to see against a very strong Liverpool team where they basically took it to that fullback every single time, I'm really looking forward and hoping they do it again.
A little bit later on, we're going to have a look at Savinho and Doku in depth. And we're also going to have a look at Kusanov in depth as well. And when we've got defender, we've got a pacey winger attacker. So we've got to speak about them in depth as well. So we will be doing that later on in the show as well. In terms of Erling Haaland being back, though, Keith, a couple of games out for him. How happy are you to see him back in the 11?
Yeah, definitely. He's the focal point. He's the main attacking threat. And also then, like I say, when you're playing with 2 wide men that will have the beating of most fullbacks in this division, it's important then to have that end product. And the one thing he does, he knows where to be and he knows where the goal is.
Now, we were noticing, I mean, obviously, with City's new signings in January, they're all young. They're all really young, Marmoush 26 being the oldest. When City played Liverpool at the weekend, only Ake and De Bruyne of the outfielders were over 30. Marmoush was the next there, who was at 26. City appear to be, Shaun, really building now for the future with this young squad.
Well, yeah, you can, and I think in many ways you kind of have to, because although we would love Kevin De Bruyne to last forever, unfortunately it's not possible. So there's always a time and in football where sadly it comes to an end for certain players, and we've both been there, and you need somebody to step into that role and already be ready to go. And I think with the players that are here already and the ones that were brought in, this is their preparation in many ways to get used to the Premier League, walking into the Premier League next year, which for me, this season's Premier League, overall, especially from the middle of the table towards the top end of the table, has got a lot stronger. And as I said to you before off air, which a lot of people wouldn't realise, before Liverpool beat us, Klopp's Liverpool team was 1 point better than Arne Slot's Liverpool team, who everybody is saying has done unbelievably well, which they have done. But the rest of the teams have also played that much better that they've taken a lot of points off the top teams that are up there to keep the points down low. So for me, it's been, apart from where we are, I've actually thoroughly enjoyed watching the Premier League this year.
Yeah, it has been really fascinating, and it's still really fascinating about how tight the middle of the table is, competing for these European spots as well. I mean, going all the way down to Spurs in 12th, who still might hope to sneak into the European spots. It is really tight. Really interesting. How old were you when you made your debut?
I think I was like 17, 18 and a half.
Wait, how old are you, Keith?
17.
Debut in the first team?
As a winger.
Stop.
It didn't last long, did it, Keith?
Scored ahead of our post.
Did you?
Yeah, Bristol Rovers.
I never knew that.
Yeah, as a right winger.
When did you become a defender?
I became a defender when I went to Bristol City. I went there, but I went. They signed me. I went to Bristol, started at Bristol Rovers, then went to Torquay as a winger. Then Bristol City signed me as a winger, and then the manager then converted me from a right winger or left winger to a centre back.
That's a mad conversion, because you haven't gone to like left back or right back. You've just gone diagonally straight to
the different, you know, like in training, where this is back in the day when defenders could kick you 3 or 4 times before a referee talked to you. I hated playing as a winger because physically I was getting smashed all the time. You know, if you were quick and people knew you were quick, then that was it. You just got smashed. And then, so in training, I used to play at the back because people like Tony Pulis was playing in training and everything like that, and he used to smash. He didn't like to be embarrassed. So I was always playing at the back, and I found it easy because all the games in front of you, and you got the opportunity to kick people. So the manager, when the manager said to me, then Terry Cooper, he said, "I'm going to play you at the back," and I was like, "Not a chance." Absolutely not a chance. It's not me. But then played a couple of games that season. Absolutely loved it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that
Yeah,
either. We've had Keith on this show about 100 times.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Love that.
Kept that
So you
one
were
quiet.
you were both 17 when you made your debut, so I suppose you both are very much in agreement that essentially if you are good enough, you're old enough.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
So obviously, kissing off it being 20, we know the age of so many young players in the team. However, on average across the Premier League this season, City have had the 4th oldest squad at 26.8. Only Fulham, Everton, and West Ham have averaged older squads this season. Now, particularly at the start of the season, certainly before the January transfer window, Keith, a lot of the criticism that was thrown at City was about having an ageing squad. Now that City have brought in so many youthful players, so 3 or 4 youthful players in the January transfer window, how important is that for you in terms of building for the future?
Yeah, definitely. And the other thing is, when you're successful and you've got older players, you find, and you've got quality older players, they play a lot of games. With the World Cup, the Champions, playing in Europe, there's a lot of games that gets packed into a season. So it's important then to find out. Pep's been lucky this year. Like say, he started his rebuild in January, which is a difficult window to start bringing people. But like I say, you have the foresight then of getting an understanding of Pep's way, how he wants his team to play. So it's vitally important that integration period now is one of those. And there's nothing better, like I said, the team that he picked against Liverpool at the weekend. Excellent, great experience for those young players as a foundation for their career at City.
Yeah, it is so exciting to see this now. I'm really loving seeing how these new players are bedding in. I mean, in terms of Nico, he came in right at the end of the transfer window. Shaun, have you been impressed with him so far?
More than impressed. I think you saw elements of it in the game before he came off injured in the Cup. But then I think you saw the real him against Newcastle. In many ways, when Rodri was making these strides into this Man City team, there was a load of games where he was almost going unspoken about. And Nico did the exact same thing in that Newcastle game. And Newcastle's known for transition breaks. And I think they had one that whole game. And that shows you how good he was. I think his pass percentage was above 90%. He won everything. And then, for me, he did the same pretty much in the Liverpool game. He snuffed that danger when he saw it. And he kept the ball really, really well as well. So I think for me, I'm delighted to see him in there. And I'm looking next year when sometimes we might go away to Europe and you play those tough teams. And now we're in a position where you could play Nico and Rodri and kind of give the license to the attackers to say, look, we got your back. Go and express yourself.
The thing is, you find at a very young age, he's got that reliable, consistent, dependable.
And the leadership as well, because I've seen him talk as well, which is really good.
Yeah, but when you've got those three attributes as that holding midfield player as well, that's a springboard for your team as well.
You know what also surprised me when I was watching the game? Like, I don't know if it's because I was sitting quite low or is it just because I'm small myself. He's actually massive. I didn't think he was that big.
He's a big unit.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm wondering now how tall. 1m88. What's that in?
I only 9 foot.
Yeah, I do.
I'm 183.
5'9".
You're 183.
I'm 183,
So he's 5 centimetres more than you.
Yeah, so he's
That's what I mean.
Six foot 3.
Sean's 160, obviously.
Nah, talk about I'm 190.
6 foot 3 is that?
Yeah. Well, obviously, we're talking about age again. Nico is 23. He's going to be playing alongside today Kovacic, who's 30. So you've got the kind of youth there, and you've got the experience as well. How do you think Nico and Kovacic will complement each other? How will they play together?
Again, I think it's as a team, when you're looking at that, it's got decent balance. Kovacic likes to get on the ball, and he will make those runs forward. But knowing that it's always good when you've got a midfield player that can get in advanced positions, knowing that he's got protection behind him as well. So I think they're balanced off each other quite well.
6'2". I've just googled it quickly. He's 6'2".
6'2".
6'2". But everyone looks big to you, Shaun. So.
Speak for yourself.
In terms of Nico and Kovacic playing there together, Shaun, what's your kind of thoughts on them playing together?
I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's been hard for Kova, especially this year. I don't think anybody expected him to play as many games as he has done, especially in the position he's played it in, and he's done really, really well. So for a number 8, he's added a lot of defensive attributes to his game because he had to learn to play that 6, and now to see them both playing together where he can kind of let the reins off of him a little bit and get him driving forward with the ball as he likes to do is good for the midfield. We've kind of got 3 different midfielders within that midfield. We've got, obviously, if Marmoush plays the 10, we've got someone who's very creative. We've got the 8, and then we've got the actual 6, and I think that's for the first time. I think so. I'm looking forward to seeing how it works.
Very much indeed. We are going to, as I mentioned, we are going to talk more in detail about Savinho and Doku and also Kadir Kusanov a little bit later on. So do stick with us. You want to hear about our thoughts on how they are settling in as well. And obviously, Shaun loves Savio and Doku, so we'll get a good old chat about that. Right, we are going to go now over to London because, of course, we sent FG, the busiest man in football, alongside the other busiest man in football, Michael Brown. They are down pitchside at the London Stadium. They have been joined by Patrick Anusionwu, who is a podcaster from the Last Word on Spurs podcast. So we'll go over to the gents now.
Yes, welcome to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. As you can see, we're not only joined by Michael Brown and a very special guest from Tottenham Hotspur, but also an even special guest, life-size version of Shaun Wright-Phillips.
2 places at one time, he is.
I mean, listen, I'm not getting involved in that. It was all Michael Brown's idea. But anyway, listen, we've just seen the Manchester City team news. Now, first things first, we'll come from a Tottenham perspective on this one. And Erling Haaland starts, which is massive.
Worried. I mean, he's going to have a point to prove. He's hungry, and I'm scared, man. I'm scared.
And now, Michael Brown, I mean, we do this every single week. Where's everyone going to play today, mate?
Well, thanks very much. It's a great introduction. Yeah, but when we talk about where people are going to play, I think it's very fluid, isn't it? The side that Pep Guardiola picks. Notably, I think Nunes possibly coming in back at right back. Is that going to be an option? Kusanov gets another opportunity. Haaland is back, huge talking point. Marmoush in the middle of the pitch, and an extra midfield player today. Nico and Kovacic is really important. So I think we've got the flexibility to move around the pitch like normal. I think it's a really strong team.
And let me just ask you as well, because we look at the Liverpool game and we had 2 wingers on the pitch, just like we have today, Savinho and Doku. There was a lot of talk that there was a certain man missing missing, which was, of course, Erling Haaland there. With how well they did in the Liverpool game in terms of out wide, especially Doku against Trent, were we just missing that striker's instinct?
No, I think that's a little bit disrespectful for Phil Foden, who played in that central position, other support people all around it. I mean, we've seen what Jeremy Doku did to Trent Alexander-Arnold on many occasions, but what they did is they defended deep. Liverpool give no space. They started, didn't they, with that false nine, stopped us going through that central area, and then at wide positions, although you got down the sides, the two centre-backs were in a very, very good position. Van Dijk, very experienced, he just reads it so well. So there was limited space. Do we miss Erling Haaland at any point? Of course we do. But there's other players there. I don't think it was just a contributor of missing Erling Haaland. I think it was just Liverpool defended those spaces well, and they scored at the right time. The set piece, and then ultimately one ball over the top, a little bit more direct, and it changes games. You put the ball in the net.
I guess from a Spurs perspective as well, the question for us is, do you expect Ange to change the way he plays? We see so much that he always sticks to the way he plays, but the way Liverpool played, potentially playing slightly deeper, do you expect that, or do you expect a high line today?
I do think that we will drop a bit deeper. We have to respect Manchester City's pace and trickery. Doku, Savinho, obviously Erling Haaland as well is pacey and quick. So I think that we will drop a bit deeper and respect the opposition today. Manchester City is still the best team in the country for me, and we have to be wary of that.
I love that. I love the Manchester City still the best team in the country. Right, listen, what we will do, of course, we're going to come to the Spurs team news now. We're going to reveal it here for you at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So in goal is Vicario, and then it is Pedro Porro, and then it is Gray, Danso, Udogie, Bentancur, Bergvall, Maddison, Johnson, Odobert and Tell. Now, looking at that team immediately, you're shaking your head. Tell us what you're thinking.
Jed Spence, no Jed Spence, that's a big concern for me. He's been our best player over the last 4 or 5 weeks, and the fact that he's been dropped for Pedro Porro or rotated, that's a massive concern going forward and defensively.
I think when you look at it, you have to understand, I think, the loading that these Spurs players have had because of the amount of injuries that they've gone through. Ange said, as soon as we get the squad back, we're going to get stronger and stronger. 3 wins out of 3 in the Premier League, that tells your story. I think Udogie might have been a risk. I didn't think he was possibly going to play, but he's done that. Maddison as well. But what about a talking point of Son?
I know, that is crazy because Son is Mr. Tottenham Hotspurs, especially against Manchester City. Son has literally single-handedly put us on the back, Champions League games here. So that is a big, big concern, and he's not even on the bench, is he? So no Son whatsoever. That's a huge worry.
Let's talk about Tell, shall we?
Yeah.
He came in January, of course. How's he done so far, and how do you expect him to do for the rest of the season?
He's been decent. He's been okay. Still a young guy, only 19. Still got a point to prove. Still can do obviously a lot better, but from what he's been and the fact that he didn't really play at Bayern Munich, I think he's done quite well.
And of course, Brownie, we know about the history of Manchester City, especially at this stadium. 7 games, only 2 wins, not many goals at all. We spoke about it earlier on in the show as well. How much does that play a part for this group of players, especially ones that have played here a lot?
Do you know what? I think it was for a little while, and then we've seen that save by Ortega. I think we've seen what things change psychologically. It's a brilliant stadium, let's be honest. We talk about it every time we come. It's right up there with the best in the world, and they're very proud of it. It's a little bit intimidating, but I think some of the performances that Spurs have had, I don't think these City players come here and go, right, we fear anything. You just look at Real Madrid, many top stadiums all around the world that these players are used to. So I think they'll be more focusing on the form that we've had. Our performances, conceding goals, is something that got improved rather than where we are.
We saw it at the Etihad earlier in the season. I mean, you won't need any reminder. The performance Tottenham made at the Etihad, it was a great performance. That'll give them a lot of confidence going into today, won't it?
I think so, but we also have to remember, I mean, we've won 3 on the spin, but other than that, our form has been really shaky. So I do think, like Michael was saying, that going into this game, I don't think the Manchester City fans will fear Spurs like they used to in the stadium. But with that being said, this isn't the Manchester City of old. As great as Manchester City have been over the last 4 years, this team is a bit different. So we know that we can get at these guys, but they also know they can get at us. It's going to be an interesting game. I hope it's not a basketball to and fro game. I hope we respect you guys, drop a bit deep, and then obviously try and pick our points and pick our battles, really.
It's been absolutely amazing having your insight with the Spurs team. It's been amazing to have Shaun Wright-Phillips here as well, hasn't it, Brownie?
Fantastic, mate. Thank you for memento. I'm going to put it right in the pocket for later. Thanks a lot.
He's not, because I'm keeping it. Well, let's head back to the studio, shall we?
OK, let's just know that card is laminated, so that's how much they respect that card, Shaun.
Can Brad tell Branny he's never had me in his pocket? Just for the record.
Yes, Shaun! Brownie, that is the first time you've ever had Shaun in your pocket. We're having that. Yes, Shaun. Thank you so much to FG and to Patrick there for joining us as well. So we were just getting the Spurs team news there along with you, and we all sort of looked at each other open-mouthed with the news of the players that are on the bench. So if we did, I mean, we'll go back. I was shocked, obviously, originally that Son was on the bench. You were shocked that Spence was on the bench. Why has he made these changes?
Honestly, I can't answer that question. I actually thought they had a big game on the weekend and he was trying to rotate, rest and protect certain players, because I know Son, apart from his injuries, has played pretty much all of the time. Kulusevski especially has played all of the time. And when Spencer's come in, he's probably been, like he said, one of their best players that they've had on the pitch, and that's attacking and defending. So in a game like this, it's quite strange to leave them out knowing their next game isn't until next week, Thursday, because they can get enough rest through that week.
Yeah. The only thing you think, like, well, is it because like so Son and Kulusevski, the wide players, is he thinking, or was he preempting that City were going to play with two wide men? And then he's saying, like, well, they're going to be doing all their work back here and not going to be able to attack, so can they play more defensive players in wider areas?
I did kind of think that, but I think Kulusevski hasn't scored in a while, then he scores in the last game.
Yeah.
Same thing with Son, started getting assists.
Yeah.
And then when it feels like they're getting ahead of steam, their confidence back, you kind of leave them out. It's what I find strange. You actually want them firing on all the cylinders.
But is he protecting them because he stated that he's going to win a trophy this year?
Yeah,
Big statement.
That's a big gamble, that. Because you want to finish in Europe places, surely, right?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, so that's Spurs team news if you're just joining us there. So that's three changes from the team that beat Ipswich at the weekend. So Son, Spence and Kulusevski all drop to the bench. So we're just trying to discuss there about the reasons why. I mean, surely that, like you said, Keith, there's got to be something Ange's seen. It can't be rotation, Shaun, as you've pointed out. They don't have a game till next Thursday. That's a long break because they're out the FA Cup this weekend.
You would have thought that he would have rested the players he's rested now against Ipswich.
Yeah.
Yes.
And play the team he's playing now against Ipswich.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm fine with it, to be honest, because Spence and Kulusevski both scored against Ipswich, and obviously Son's been getting back into form in the last couple of games. So, I mean, I'm fine with it. In terms of the changes that he's made, though, so he's brought in Porro, Odobert and Maddison. Obviously, we all know about James Maddison. Yeah. In terms of Porro and Odobert, is it a possibility that he sees them as helping more defensively than Kulusevski and Son? Obviously, we know Porro plays in defence, but could that be why?
Yeah, I just mentioned that to Shawnee, but then again, like Shawnee said, the team against Ipswich that he played, I don't know, did either of them come off? The Son could have actually come off in that game at all.
I don't think Kulusevski did. I think Son might have.
Yeah.
But even Odobert, he's not known for defending.
No.
He's more of a flary, attacking winger. So I'm really shocked with that call from Ange.
I'm just looking for you right now in terms of Porro came on in the Ipswich game. Son went off, but only in the 74th minute, and Maddison came on in the 60th. So no, it doesn't look like it was injury-wise or anything like that.
No, he knows his players, and he knows his squad, and he knows the fixtures that he's got coming up. So he's obviously seen something that he thinks he can be more competitive, or needs to be more competitive, rather than that gun-ho style of play that we've seen this season from them.
In terms of Spurs as well, Patrick mentioned it, they have won their last three Premier League games. So they won against Ipswich, they won against Manchester United and they won against Brentford. That's as many games as they managed to win in the previous 15 Premier League games. So they went through a really tough run. In the last three games, they've won and things are starting to look a bit more positive for them. But they have had a huge injury crisis as well, like many clubs in the Premier League this season as well.
Apart from Liverpool now.
Yeah.
Hey, Shaun. Okay, I like that. What are you suggesting, Shaun?
I don't know, but it's just weird. They're the only team that hasn't suffered big injuries.
Consistently, they've been able to pick a very strong team week in, week out. Probably, like I say, the only team that's been able to do it this year.
So for Spurs, they still have Van de Ven out, Romero, Solanke, Richarlison, Dragusin and Timo Werner. are all out. They have got players coming back though, because of course Vicario's been out for ages. They had all those goalkeeper issues as well. So Vicario is back. That's got to be good for them for confidence in defence.
Massive, because we pray, especially us. His weak spot is corners and coming for crosses. But as a shot stopper, every time City's played against him or I've seen him play, he makes some saves that he just shouldn't be making. And he doesn't just do it once or twice. You'll see him do it 4 to 5 times in a game. I think he does really well for them. And so that would be a massive boost for them as long as they can limit the amount of chances that go against him, because at some point, you know, in football, no matter how many times your keeper pulls you out of the bag, if you keep getting chance and chance and chance, eventually it ends up in the back of the net. But hopefully we test him again the way we did in this game. And for me, that's a big save, because I thought Erlen done everything right in that chance, because he can't keep it low. He kind of has to go higher, Keith. He stays up as long as possible, and it's a strong arm.
Yeah. So Vicario back, so that's positive for Spurs, and obviously getting more into form now, because as we mentioned there, Keith, having that really bad run, 3 wins in 15 games, they've won the last 3. Do you think that coincides with their players starting to come back?
Yeah, obviously, because the better players are coming back. And again, you go on a losing run, it does affect the change room. And then as a manager or as a coach, you look how players individually and collectively react to those defeats. And so you usually find out more about your changing room in the bad times, to find out how players actually respond, whether that's day-to-day in training, how they you get certain players that will get the best out of other players. You get certain players then not so much go hiding or go missing, but become quieter when with the defeats and everything like that. So again, he'd have learned a lot about his squad through the difficult times.
Oh, I like that. I bet you were one of those that kept going and pulling them through, Keith, and leading, dragging them on.
I was vocal. But when I needed, I wasn't a shouter and a screamer and a baller. I was on the pitch, but then in the change room, I was more pointing in what I said. Rather than, it wasn't long. It was just like, you need to do better, or you can do better.
You can do better. I like that. You can do better. We can all do a little bit better. James Maddison's back in the starting 11 tonight. Shaun, what will he bring to Spurs? What do we need to be aware of with him?
His creativity. Not just on the ball, his movement off the ball. If we don't track our runners, he will do things like this, and he's such a quality player. I've always classed him as a maverick, and in many ways, I always thought if Spurs built a team around him, he would become more useful for them, because he's a player who just likes to go where he wants to go. He wants to get the ball where he wants to get it, and he wants to run when he wants to run. And if you can limit the amount he defends, I think the more end product you'll get from him. Like in this game, I thought he was phenomenal in terms of manipulating the ball, making our midfield search for him rather than him marking them. And when he did get the ball, the choices he made on the ball were right. And like here, this 1-2 here, he just keeps running. Most people don't run that way, but he does. And to sort his feet out that quickly and dink it on the opposite side of on his left foot, you see what type of player he is and what he can do given this much time and space.
He scored in their last home game against United as well. So his confidence levels are coming back. In terms of when internationals are coming around, because obviously, I was going to say Thomas Tuchel will be picking his first England team in March coming up. Maddison will be, I imagine, hoping to be reselected into the England team. How does that play into confidence, or is that in a player's mind?
I reckon it'll be in some players' mind, especially if you've been left, when I got left out of one of the tournaments before I went to 2010, that was in my mind when I came back. I need to make sure somehow I get myself in the next tournament. But I think in terms of camps, I don't think it would necessarily be on your mind, because, like you said, he's just coming back to fitness. There'll be other players that have been fit and at that elite level already that he can imagine will get picked before him. So he will just base it off of that. And also sometimes for him, getting back to fitness, it may be good that he doesn't go. So he gets more time to recover, get his body back to where it is. So for me, it would be good for him maybe to miss this first trip and focus on the next one.
Yeah, if Thomas Tuchel is there tonight, by the way, Keith, looking at English players, you won't see any in the City starting 11 tonight. So no English players in our starting 11. Obviously, when you look at the bench, you've got Grealish, Foden, Lewis and McAtee on the bench, but no English players in the City starting 11 for him. I can't think the last time that was.
I think it's the first time, isn't it? Yeah.
It might be that, yeah.
I think it's the first time.
Yeah.
And I think it happened to Liverpool, not last week, the week before that as well. It's the first time they've ever fielded a team without an English player as well.
Can we claim Haaland, though, because he was born in Leeds?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, of course we can.
Yeah. I think England wish they could actually claim Haaland properly, right? Can you imagine? Somebody should have done some work there when he was born to sign him up there. So that is the Spurs team news there. If you're just joining us, welcome to Matchday Live. Thank you very much for being here. So we've had a City starting 11, we've had the Spurs starting 11 as well. We can now hear from both the managers ahead of the game who were speaking at their press conferences yesterday.
Highly manager, so have a high opinion about him. No, I try to don't judge, but there is an opinion like everyone, not for the results. So you to see the idea, sometimes it's going well, sometimes not much, but I have a highly opinion.
Yeah, look, you're confident. You're always looking forward to the challenge. Man City are an outstanding football club, great manager, still got great footballers, and still play really, challenging football to any opponent. So, but we've enjoyed the games against them, whether that was this year or even last year. You're going to get a good football game. They're going to try and win. They're going to play expansive. We're going to try and do the same. And it's going to be a good test for us.
They're a fantastic team. The quality, individual quality, as always, they had the rhythm they play and the intensity they do. The incredible runners, the transitions. But I've seen lately they are a little bit more posed in the final third. They had more extra passes that maybe before that finished action so quick. They can do it, of course, but in the same time they can do it, especially when Maddison play. So the results dictate one thing, but the opinion about the teams is completely the opposite.
That was Pep Guardiola and Ange Postecoglou speaking in their press conferences yesterday. That is, of course, our Edison. He is warming up. That's flexible, that, isn't it? Can you two still do that?
I've never been able to touch my toes when I played. I don't think it's going to happen now, that's for sure.
We'll get you some yoga stretches during the game, Shaun. So Ange and Pep being very complimentary to each other. They're complimentary about each other's managerial styles and also complimentary about each other's clubs as well. Pep actually saying that Tottenham have had a series of good managers, of course, so being very nice to each other, which I think we like to see. It's all nice, of course, until we get on the pitch there. Look at that. He's just showing off for you now, Shaun.
Yeah, I can't do it. I'm not even going to embarrass myself.
So in terms of Ange and Pep, they have played each other in the Premier League 3 times. Both have won 1. There's been 1 draw, and as you can see there, Ange has scored 7. Pep's teams have scored 5, although, of course, remember that 4 of those 7 came in the last game together. And we also played Spurs earlier in the season in the Carabao Cup, which, of course, Spurs won 2-1 at the London Stadium. A much-changed City team that day. So in terms of their styles, Keith, is it fair to say that they kind of both have had difficult seasons, but have stuck to their beliefs and their principles when it comes to how they like to play football?
Yeah, I think the foundations of both teams is to play expansive football, probably more so Tottenham with that more gun-ho approach, as in everybody committed to going forward and sometimes leaving the back door open. They have a defensive way of defending whereby they defend very high. Sometimes they've been caught out with it, but again, it's you can see them even though where they are on the pitch, they're very high, but their body position is they're ready to sprint back. Which is something that I've picked up, which is, yes, it can be good, but if the timing of the run from the opposition, doesn't matter which way you're facing, if you're that high, you're leaving massive spaces in behind. There's reasons why you do it, to nullify the space that the people in front of you are working in, to make the pitch smaller when teams are trying to play through you. But it's a dangerous game when there's no pressure on the ball, and people are making runs. You've got players in the City team that can pick those runners out with quality passes.
As a manager, is it difficult when you're going through a tough patch and you want to stick to your principles and beliefs, and you're maybe getting pressured from everyone else to change?
Well, you've got to have a foundation. Sometimes it's difficult because if you get the opportunity to go into a football club in, say, pre-season, you can lay your foundations down there. Normally what you do is, or the experience that I've had is, you join a football club halfway through a season and very quickly you have to implement foundations of play. And sometimes it can be a case of like, well, we do this in this area, in that area, do what you want. But if the team needs to have fundamentals. When it's on to play, by all means go and play, forward-thinking mentality. But then when it's not on to play, we want the ball put and delivered into an area with quality. And then the more people in that team can understand that, yeah, now it's on to play, now we can't play through, now it's got to go long, then you can have players then, if they go early enough, that long pass can become a good ball.
Ange's been getting a lot of pressure from fans about his tactics. Did you ever get fan pressure when you were managing, and did you ever bow to it?
Again, most of the clubs I've gone in, they've been going on a downward spiral. First of all, when I joined clubs, they've been 4 points adrift, 3 points adrift in the bottom two, in the bottom three, and it's a case of like, yeah, I've got principles of how I would love the game to be played. But then you walk into a changing room, you see a group of players that are low on confidence, being used to getting beat, and then you need to give them a focus. And sometimes that focus is what we need to play in the opposition's half. Don't care how we get there, keep it there, and then can we get the ball in the box? And how many people can we get in the box? And it sounds very simple, but players can buy into that, because then you're not asking them to play the ball around at the back, have the rotation and have pathways of passing the way, but sometimes go direct, land on second balls and build our play from the opposition's half.
Shaun, in terms of playing in teams where the manager's got distinct principles and foundations, as Keith said there, have you ever played in a team where it's had to be changed, or where it's changed midway through a season?
Yeah, happened to me, must spell at QPR, and I think you learn quickly. If you don't, it's as simple as you pretty much don't play. And it's not always nice, especially when you are going through a tough time, to be able to juggle both in terms of your confidence and still take on board what the new manager's trying to implement. It isn't easy, but at the end of the day, it's got to be done. And like, these two won't ever do it. And in many ways, I don't think managers should do it. I think if that's the way they play, they should stick to their guns. I think people want him to change now, but when he was high-flying earlier in the season, nobody was saying anything.
No, that's what they've seen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it will come back for Ange, and you know it will, because of the players who get fit. But as for that high line, I think if they keep playing like that, they're going to keep getting hamstring injuries. Because I don't think any defender's meant to sprint that many times in a game. And as good as Van der Ven is, he will keep breaking down if he has to make 7 flat-out sprints a game. That is a lot.
We mentioned earlier about Ange's statement that he made it earlier in the season. Second season, Ange always wins a trophy in the second season. Well, of course, the only trophy he can win now is the Europa League. Do you think he's going to go, I mean, flat out for that? You know, is it? I've heard some Spurs fans writing off the Premier League now.
Yeah, well, when you say writing off the Premier League, they still want to finish as high as possible. But are they a chance of winning it? No. Outside chance of top 4. Or maintaining that challenge for a top 4 place. No, it's fact Ange always wins trophies. He always won the majority of his trophies in his second season. He's come to a football club. He's drastically changed the style of play, probably more so defensively, how they defend while they're attacking. And again, players are learning, and you'd say they are a definite goal threat, and they can cause you problems. At Tottenham, if they have a good day and things go their way, they can cause any team in this division problems. But then, likewise, you've seen they are susceptible to counter-attacks and breaks against.
Yeah, it feels like it could be a high-scoring game tonight, for sure. Spurs sitting in 12th in the league, Shaun, again, going back to Ange's sort of second season Ange, if he's going to be second season Ange, it might also be because it's the only way they can get into Europe this year, given their league place.
No, I still think they've got a hoping chance to get into Europe. I think from 12th to about 4th, the points margin isn't that big. You can almost string together 2 or 3 games, and if the results go your way, it will propel you back up the table. So I still think they've got a good chance in terms of that. If I'm not a manager, but if I was him, I would honestly just focus on the Premier League, because I think you can get to the final of the Europa and be the best team on the pitch and still lose the game. So Europe's a tricky one to juggle for me personally.
Now, you know, over at the London Stadium a little bit earlier, Michael Brown and FG took the mick out of you, said that a little card was a life-size version of you. Well, life has dealt them some hard karma very, very quickly, Shaun, because FG and Michael Brown are now interviewing Peter Crouch.
Yes, thank you very much, Natalie. As you can see, I'm not only joined by Brownie, but also Crouchy as well. Thank you for joining us again on Matchday Live. It's been a while, and it's only right that the man who scored the goal that got Spurs in the Champions League against Manchester City at the Etihad is joining us. Haven't forgotten it.
I appreciate you saying that, because I think I scored my own goal the next year. You could have said that.
Well, I was about to come on to that, but I'll leave you to it, because great to catch up with you, of course.
Yeah.
We're joining at a point where both teams are in a bit of a difficult-ish situation. City underperforming this season, Tottenham as well. And what do you make of Tottenham so far?
Inconsistent, yeah. Like, I've done a lot of Spurs games, been here, and it's been frustrating. Obviously, the injury crisis is what everyone seems to talk about, but I actually think the form as well has been indifferent. But it feels like they could be coming out of it. Got a great win against Ipswich on the weekend and played really well. And in the league, it's been better. I was 3 on the bounce in the league, but they obviously a couple of bad performances sandwiched in the cup in between that. But interesting game tonight, because usually it's loads of quality on show, but not quite the same this year. So interesting to see how it goes.
Do you know what's mad? There's so many games you come here since Andy's been in, and it's the first few moments it gets you right off your seat, and then wondering what's going to happen later on in games they've struggled. How do you think they come at City today? Do they sit like Liverpool and wait? Or do you think Ange still cannot possibly do that? I just don't know.
I've never seen them do it. I don't think they seem to play that way, especially at home. I think, they fancy themselves against anyone, no matter what the personnel, be it that good or bad. That's how he plays. And I still think there's enough quality on show. And, I think City have proved that they're human this year, you know what I mean? So I feel like it's an opportunity for Tottenham to go at them.
A lot of happy memories for Manchester City on a stadium in terms of last season. This was arguably the game that won us the league, and the save from Stefan Ortega on that side. Do you think it's an opportunity to kick-start the season in another? I mean, we've said it so many times this season, but a result here at a place that I think City have won twice out of 7 at the stadium. It's a bit of a bogey team. They've not scored many goals here, but it could be a really good opportunity for them.
Yeah, Spurs have got a decent record against City, and like you say, and obviously the 4-0 game. We were looking at some of the goals. Obviously, Maddison was on fire that game. He looks like he's coming back into a little bit of form. But yeah, I mean, you must have said it all season. City got capable of blowing any team away at any point. So I'm not sure, obviously, the personnel who's fit and who's not. But it'll always be a game, and you always fancy goals in this fixture.
So there's a big ask for some of the players when they didn't have the squad. Udogie's come back, but he might not make tonight. Who's the ones to watch? Who's been impressing you? Archie Gray's been very good at centre-back. Any others? Yeah,
Kulusevski, he's been the one stay all season, really. Hasn't put a foot wrong. Scored goals when he's needed to. Even at times they've needed to rest him, and they've had to bring him off the bench to create something. So he's been the one constant, I would say. Obviously Solanke's been a big miss. Getting Brennan Johnson's good, goal scoring form. So yeah, looking forward to seeing those really.
So he's been very nice here. It normally does with his guests, right? He wants this mic, right? So he's got something. He's got something. He's ready and waiting.
Right.
Surely you got something.
What I was going to ask before we start. Okay. We're missing a certain person here. Yeah. Matchday Live regular, by the way. Johnny Lescott, he was supposed to be joining us. I mean, any idea as to where Johnny Lescott is?
Yeah, I was just sitting outside there. He was supposed to be here as well. Apparently he's got to go back home to get something. So make of that what you will. I thought it was traffic.
Quick.
Gone home to get something.
Right.
What could that be?
Well, I've no idea, but I'm pretty sure Johnny Lescott will be pitchside very soon with a very, very good haircut like yours. So maybe he's just at the barber's or something. Crouchy, absolute pleasure. Away from football, before we head back, what's next for you?
For me?
In terms of the life of Crouchy?
Oh, there's plenty going on, mate. Just come back from a little ski trip, believe it or not. Me on the slopes is is a sight to behold.
Brownie's actually just done the same.
Have you really?
Yeah, I was away last week. Loved
Yeah.
it. I would have liked to have seen you back.
Oh,
though.
it's unbelievable. Everyone who knows me
I
said,
might have
please.
spotted you.
I've got legs either side of the slopes, right?
What
Trying to
size
get
skis
down.
did you have?
Oh, it was
Come
all right,
on.
honestly. It was,
Like
I'm
190.
What I realised, I'm just not built for skiing.
You
Mind you, I
are,
wasn't built
come
for
on.
football. I did all right there.
Yeah, you were brilliant at that. So listen, who knows? I mean, coming to a ski slope near you, both of these two. All right, let's head back to the studio. Crouchy, thank you, and Brownie, thank you as always.
Thanks so much to FG and Michael Brown. You're never going to believe this. Shaun Wright-Phillips has been skiing with Peter Crouch. He's just told me. You've got to immediately tell us the story while we watch the team coming out in the London Stadium.
No, it was just before. Yeah, it was just before COVID, and we had a job together. I think the week before, Jermaine Jenas had to jump out of playing with him, and for whatever reason, they just thought somebody like me would want to go skiing.
Was it for Comic Relief?
Yeah, I think it was at that, if I remember correctly. But it was awesome. Like, first time I was flying down the hills, I learned pretty quickly. But to see Crouchy and his tall body, I'm just scooting past him. I could just see him, like, kind of going slow. And when we had to get on the little thing, which you could, it's not the chair, but there's like a little seat that you sit on that just pulls you up. He was literally getting pulled up skiing where my legs were just dangling. So we had a right laugh. It was cool.
I can imagine you coming up behind him and going under his legs on your skis. I cannot believe that. Also, how about you text Jolien at the end of the show, find out what he had to go back and pick up, and we'll tell everybody at halftime. In the halftime show.
That's if he tells me the truth, but yeah.
Deal?
Deal.
Okay, we will find out about the missing Jolien Lescott. Thank you very much there to FG and Michael Brown and, of course, Peter Crouch. That was filmed a little bit earlier before the team news came out, which made us all laugh even more about the fact that Kulusevski is on the Spurs bench today and not in the starting 11 after Peter Crouch just stood there and said that he played every game and never made a mistake all season. Hey, makes it. We were all even more baffled. But something we are not baffled about is how good Kadir Kusanov played against Liverpool, and indeed has done since he came to the club. You can see him there warming up. He is starting tonight. He'll be playing in the centre-back position alongside Ruben Diaz. Oh, gents, can we just have a moment? Because given the first 5 minutes of his Manchester City career and how high he's gone since then, let's go straight to the defender. How impressed have you been with him since he signed, bar the first 5 minutes?
Yeah, like I say, I felt from him in that first 5 minutes. You could tell he was trying to feel his way into the game, and then to make the mistake that he made, but showed good character how he's responded to that. He's aggressive. He likes winning first contact. He's got a yard of pace, and he's one of those defenders that you can tell he actually enjoys defending. But he can handle a football. He can find a pass. He plays relatively simple, which is what you want him to do, just to keep the ball moving. But he's got a defensive mindset.
I know that you were particularly impressed with the way that he recovered in that Chelsea game.
Yeah, I think it takes a lot, and in many ways I was happy he learnt that lesson in that game as early as he did. I think he could have come here when City are high flying and never knew how to deal with something like that, and that could have happened to him in an even bigger game, whereas this happened to him in that Chelsea game early on, and the team was always going to be around him, but it's the way he grew from that, and from that moment he's just got better and better and better. Even when you give him the ball, he knows already what he wants to do with it. He has a backup plan, and his recovery tackles and pace is, for me, is unbelievable. And I think a lot of people got a few glimpses of that in the Liverpool game, and even I think Vinicius tried to run him in the Champions League and didn't succeed either, and he just moved him off the ball. So it shows you, like Keith said, he really enjoys defending as well.
I don't know how often we've said that a player has kept Vinicius Junior quiet at the Bernabeu, but of course he was playing right back that night. Tonight he's playing in the centre-back position as he did against Liverpool. You can see him warming up there, just 20 years old. What an impact he's made already. Some absolutely incredible stats from that Liverpool game. We're going to have a look back at some of his key moments from that game, including a block that he made against Szoboszlai that I am still applauding now. Some of the stats from that game: 98% pass completion rate. He created a scoring opportunity, made 9 passes in the final third, successfully completed his only tackle attempt, made 6 clearances, regained possession 12 times, and executed 1 last man tackle. This, boom! Shaun, that don't get any better than that.
Come from about 30 yards, isn't it?
It's not even on the screen right now. Where is he? There he is.
Spotting danger.
It's a great read, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh,
I would like to put him in a race against the both of you in your primes.
He won't beat me. In my prime, he's not beating me.
Would he beat you, Keith?
No, not I'd beat Shaun.
No, you wouldn't.
Shaun would be quicker with the ball, but without it, no. Again, we touched on it earlier on, as a coach, as a manager, you find out about your players when things aren't going well, and then likewise you find out more about yourself as an individual as well. When it's how you handle that disappointment. Like the first 5 minutes of his debut, if he didn't have a strong character, that could have. That could have been a lasting effect on him that could have gone into the next game, into the next 40 minutes of the game. But it shows he's got good temperament. It's one of those, when you're a defender and you make a mistake and it leads to a goal, heartbreaking, because then the next thing you just want to make the next tackle, you want to make the next good pass, and it's all about how you react to disappointment, and that's young players even more so now. There's nothing worse than a young player getting released at say 17, 18, but it's how you handle that disappointment. A lot of them they go off and blaming somebody else. Somebody else's fault. Manager didn't do this, manager didn't do that. Other people can go and build a career and use that disappointment as a building block to have a career.
Yeah, I mean, the way he's recovered after that first couple of minutes has been incredible. I thought against the Liverpool game, he had a real standout performance as well. I thought he was almost a breath of fresh air, and his work rate was incredible, Shaun. I heard, obviously, when Nico came, Pep referred to him as a mini Rodri. I have heard Kushanoff be described as a mini John Stones. Are you having that?
I'm yet to see it, but if Pep sees it, I can't wait to see it.
No, not from Pep, from people online.
I haven't seen it yet, but the answer's still the same. If it is, I can't wait to see it. At the minute, I'm just seeing him grow into that defender in many ways that we need. We needed that centre-back with that little bit of pace, that little bit of calmness, and he does play football really, really well, and I've seen him drive forward a few times on the ball as well. So I can imagine there's a lot more strings to his bow.
How tall is he?
Oh, good question. We're all about height tonight. Give me 1 second. Keep talking while I Google.
I'd have said just 6 foot.
He looks around the same size as Nico.
Yeah.
He looked about the same size.
6'1".
Yeah, I knew he was close. Yeah.
Yes. Happy with that?
Yeah. No, and again, like, size doesn't matter, as I've been told lots of times. It's his aggressive attitude to attacking the ball in the air, but also then his defensive mentality as well. He likes to attack the ball if it's in the air, and like I say, competitive enough at size-wise.
Don't know why you're laughing, Shaun. No idea why you're laughing. No idea. I'm kind of fascinated by the idea that he doesn't speak English. And obviously football is a universal language. Like, football goes beyond any language, whatever language you speak. The universal language to me is football. But I am fascinated about how difficult it is, or how easy it is, to integrate into a close-knit group of people when you don't speak the language initially. I mean, how have you experienced that with players coming in? I mean, how difficult have they found it?
Tevez.
Okay.
He never spoke. Oh. And if he did know it, he chose not to speak it. But he was the same. But I would suggest that in the drills, he would either be fifth in the queue to do the exercise, because then he doesn't necessarily always have to understand. He can watch and learn. Yeah. And watching and learning will help him understand also what the manager's just said. So if the manager says a drill, this is how he wants it done, the first 3 players go and do it. Now he knows what that line is. I can imagine he understands the football terms, because to play in a Pep team, you kind of need it. And I can imagine he'll have a translator. But I think the boys, the team will help him a lot, pick up on stuff, and it will be really, really tough for him. But I like the way he plays. He's quite like a silent assassin, isn't it? Yeah. You never really hear him shout. You never see his mouth move. It's just like total focus. I quite.
Hey, do you know what? If he goes on to have half the career of Tevez, he'd have done all right, wouldn't he? So I think we'll take that. Have you experienced that as a player or a manager?
I had an opportunity, potential opportunity to go to Spain, and I turned it down because of that.
Why?
Just because probably I enjoyed the changing room, the communication, being captain and anything. Would I go to Spain, and would I be able to express myself on the pitch and off the pitch, as well as what I thought I did here? And so it was a non-starter before I went any further.
Oh, that's fascinating. Can you tell us who it was? Who was the team? Barcelona?
I would have gone.
Would have been no language barrier there, would there?
Love that. In terms of having a defender like Kusanov, with all the skills that we've seen of him so far, the pace, the calmness, how good he is on the ball, plus with his physicality as well, Shaun. In terms of being an attacker, how difficult would it be for an attacker to get past a defender that has all of the attributes?
Tough. If it was me, I would do everything quickly. So if I was in and around the box and I got past him, I wouldn't give him a chance to get back. If I was going to make that pass would happen as soon as I got a yard or two away from him, because, like you said, he's quite physical and he's quick as well. So the chances are, if he gets back to me, he can outstrength me as well. So I'm taking full advantage of my 2 yards and do whatever it is I'm deciding to do with that 2 yards. Because as we saw, Szoboszlai thought he had more time than he did. Against any other defender, he had all the time in the world, but because it was Kusanov, he gets back across in time. So if he takes that shot, first time he doesn't make it. And if he sees him coming and he knows he's that quick, he doesn't take the touch, he just takes a shot straight away.
Oh, I loved that so much. I would just like that little video on repeat, and I'll just watch it every now and again of him just coming from nowhere. And no, not happening. So yes, we are very impressed, of course, with Kadir Kusanov and how he's doing so far. Very much looking forward to seeing how the 20-year-old grows in his time at Manchester City. Now, one of my favourite things that we do on Matchday Live, and I know that you all love it by now, I don't know if we've told these guys, I prefer it when we don't tell them. We're going to do a game.
Oh, God,
This is why I like it when we don't tell them. OK, you're going to love this one. Obviously, when we played in this fixture last season, one of the big talking points was the save that Stefan Ortega made. Perhaps a save that helped us to win the league. It was a huge, huge save. Of course, Edison had gone off injured and he came on. We all know exactly the one that we're talking about. So what we are going to do is we are going to ask you to blind rank saves. So we are going to show you 5 saves, but you don't know what's coming next. And you have to put them in order. And of course, we are going to start with that save from Ortega from last season. So let's just have another look at it. Here we go. I know you were all feeling the same as me. Thought the season was about to be over, and boom! So you're going to blind rank it. You don't know what's coming next.
I honestly would go 2 or 3 for that.
Yeah, I'm thinking 3.
Yeah, well, I can go with 3.
Why?
Because although it was, for me, a massive save, I don't necessarily think Son hit it as clean and as close to the post as he actually wanted to.
OK. Keith, why do you think?
Probably because of the importance of the save in that particular game, the actual technical aspect of the save. Yeah, he stood up, made himself big, and then spread himself. And slightly read the anticipation of where Son was going to put it. But so now, the importance of that save in that game at that time.
OK. So that is going in at number 3. Right, the next one. This is Joe Hart. This is May 2015. This is Swansea away.
Hudson takes Fernandez. Oh, that is a
What do you think?
brilliant save.
Now, for me, that I would say is a better save.
Yeah, that's full stretch, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
and to tip it up with your bottom arm as well, like that's a lot. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
What do you reckon? This bit, right? I've done
that's
these
4 or
games.
5. That's.
Wait, so hold on.
When you look at the technical aspect of that save, like how he's managed to get there as well, he's had to get a little step.
One's the best.
Yes, that's what I was just about to say.
One's the best. All right, got you. I was going that way.
You going 1 or 2?
Yeah.
It's hard, isn't it? Because I've done these before, and
2.
2. I'll go 2 with you.
2 it is. I'm looking at the list. OK, let's have a look at the next one. This is Shay Given. This is February 2009. This is against Liverpool at home. So this was his debut for City. Where the save is coming up. Oh, that's quick thinking, quick reactions.
4.
That. What do you think?
I would put that as 4.
Yeah.
It's reaction.
Yeah.
Shay's not going to be happy.
Shaun, you played in this game.
I thought so. Yeah.
Where are you, Shaun?
I'm not. That's not my area to defend. That's the defender's area. I should hope I'm not clearing the ball at the front post.
OK, where are you ranking that?
I would say 4.
Yeah, 4.
4. Right, we've got 2 left. Right, let's have a look at this little Champions League winning save. What do we think of Edison here? What are you thinking?
I need to see his leg.
5.
5, that's what I was going to say, yeah, 5.
There's a lot of fortune in that as well, isn't there?
So you're going to go 5, not knowing what the only one you've got left, which you're going to name the best save?
Yeah.
That's what happens in blind ranking.
No.
You've gone 5?
Yeah, I'll keep calling.
OK, so just would like to say, according to Shaun Wright-Phillips and Keith Curle, this is the #1 save.
We're going to say it's quality anyway.
It's David.
Oh, no, can we switch it, please?
And it's Paul Dickey penalty. That's Dickey playing for Leicester. That's, of course, David James playing for us.
Nah, that should be 10.
He saved against Dickey, though.
It's a bad pen.
Bad pen.
Yeah.
That's
Not even in the corner.
That was a bad pen, to be fair. Sorry, Paul.
It's right by him.
Yeah. That's #1.
I am gutted about that.
Yeah.
I have to be really honest. Harty should have won that.
Yeah.
Ortega should have been second,
yeah.
and then Edison, and then those two. That's the way it should have been. But
it wasn't.
there you go, blind ranking. It's the fun in it.
There is the rankings. We are going to show this to David James. Not the part where you say that you're gutted, just where he's won.
Please show that part.
Diggo's going to be angry when he says it's a bad pen as well.
Love this. I love this show because you actually never know what's going to happen. David James has been named the #1 save there, and now we're going to go over to London, where FG went to meet the Chick King a little bit earlier on.
All right then, welcome to North London. I've got here nice and early because I've got a very special guest. And listen, I've asked to meet up at the most iconic chicken shop in North London, Chick King. And I'm going to be listening to the words, the thoughts of the man from the Word on Spurs, Patrick Tyrant. Come inside. Let's go and say hello to him. As you can see, he's waiting for me right here. Great to see you, my man. Listen, you know what? I thought it was only right that I came to North London nice and early, not only for the food, but also to get your thoughts on everything. Well, where better to start than the dominance this football club has had over us at this new stadium?
You know what, it's crazy. Since it's been open in 2019, it's been really weird because obviously Manchester City are a brilliant team, but we're basically your bogey team.
You can tell me that. Do you remember how long it took us for us to score a goal here? Let alone try and get a result.
I think it was about 4 games, right?
The first game we scored a goal was the first one where we actually got a result, which says a lot about you guys. But yeah, a bogey team. But
bogey team, and it's crazy because you lot are incredible. Talent throughout the team, brilliant goalkeeper, fantastic manager. But for some reason, we always do the number on you lot, and it's what can I say, man? From Harry Kane and his amazing goal, his 267 goal, his record-breaking goal in that 1-0 win.
What was interesting that day was you already had the graphic ready. So the minute he'd scored, we looked on the big screen and the graphic was out. It's like they were expecting Harry Kane to score that goal against Spurs. But I mean, overall that dominance in that fixture. When you go in this fixture, do you feel a lot more confident?
Not really, you know. It's funny because even though our record's so good against you guys, 5 wins, 2 losses in the last, 7 games, I still feel shaky going into this game because I know how good you guys are. And typically as well, it's been like Nuno and Mourinho and Conte masterclasses, defensive stability. But I don't know, it's a weird one. It's quite interesting.
Let's move on then to the managers. You just mentioned it a minute ago. You've had a lot of managers face against this Man City time. Mourinho, Nuno, we've had Antonio Conte, and then obviously Big Ange as well. Where are we at in terms of Spurs? Firstly, let's take a trip down memory lane with the managers. I mean, the one that stands out to me the most was that Nuno team. It wasn't the best team you had, but it still managed to get the result against
I know, that is it, because literally it was just defensive masterclasses, 1-0 wins, solidarity, clean sheets, and then obviously you've gone from Nuno, Conte, Mourinho, and now you've got Big Ange, attacking football. But to be fair, it hasn't been a great season. It hasn't been a great season whatsoever. It's been a calamity, if I'm being honest.
All right, so that was going to be my next question as well. Where are we at? Where's Spurs' season at so far? You've recently just played, in a semi-final. The first leg went okay.
Yeah,
second leg was really poor, wasn't it? I mean, where are you at? Like, you've had injuries, you've had a lot of injuries this season. Your goalkeeper specifically, he's a great keeper. We know how good he is.
Yeah.
Talk to me about Spurs this season so far.
I think now, to be fair, it's just pretty much Europa or bust. The league's a write-off. We're about 13th right now before kick-off. 3 wins on the spin, which is amazing because we had lost so many games, but I can't see us doing anything in the league. So for me, it's Europa or bust. Players are starting to come back. We're starting to pick up a bit of form. Annoying, we've got to play you guys. So I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing considering...
You're good against us, though.
Yeah, I know. Our record against you is brilliant, but it's Manchester City and it's a tough one. But yeah, for me, the season's a write-off. It's just Europa or bust, and hopefully we can pull something out of the bag. Because I mean, it'll be the Spursiest season ever to be as bad as we are and still walk away with major honours. So I'm just hoping and praying that's the case.
I think honestly there'll be so many happy fans, especially here in North London, if Spurs do finally win a trophy. Look,
mate,
I'm not just here to talk to you about football. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
I'm
also here to try some of this because you've been talking highly of it.
Yeah,
so let's
chicken,
take a look.
best place in London,
So
man.
what do you recommend on this menu?
2 with cheese. Sorry, 1 with cheese, which is our chicken burger and thing. Exactly, best food in London, man. And then 2 pieces of chicken and chips.
2 pieces of chicken and chips. Well, listen, it's been great catching up with you guys, but I'm off to try some of this. So I'll see you guys later. You enjoy the game. Hopefully not too much.
Exactly, that's
pleasure.
it. Good luck, but not too much luck. And take it from there.
Can you just imagine FG pitching that to the producers of the show? I've got a great idea. We should go to a chicken shop and meet my mate.
I was surprised he didn't have a piece of chicken.
I imagine there was a lot of chicken got eaten after that was filmed there. Thank you so much to FG. So less than, oh my goodness, 12 minutes now away from tonight. It's a 7:30 p.m. kickoff in the UK, and there is that man, Jeremy Doku, who had some very interesting stats in the Liverpool game against Trent. Trent became in that game the first player to be dribbled past more than 10 times in one Premier League match. I mean, Doku had a fun time against him.
A fun time ain't the word, I think. Like, we always want to see wingers playing, dribbling, getting bums off the seats, being exciting. Like, I always looked to myself when I was a winger as an entertainer in many ways. So, like, to bring excitement to the game, and boy did Doku and Savinho, they both did that on the weekend. To the point, you know what I'm like now, I don't really get involved in social media too much. I couldn't resist just writing on his last post. I said, honestly, watching you lot play like that the other day, I felt like I was going to cry in the stand. It was just a breath of fresh air, and I really hope they bring that to the table again. Obviously, it's a different game, different type of player he's going to come up against, but the fact that he still tried all the time, he had that one-on-one chance, just made it like even better. So Doku completed 15 dribbles in the Liverpool game, which is the most by one player in a single Premier League game in the last 4 seasons, Keith.
Excellent. I was at the game Sunday, and it was excellent. As soon as the ball got into wide areas, you're thinking something's going to happen, which is phenomenal. And again, they haven't played too many times where they've both played as well. And again, you need to be, as a coach or a manager, you need to be confident in your team to have like 2 wide players. Normally, you have 1 wide player and 1 that plays slightly narrow to keep your team shape. Excellent to watch. For the first 15 minutes of the game, you're thinking, like, you have a look at Pep's game plan, you're thinking, I like that. There's people saying, you haven't got an out-and-out centre forward, but you're playing 2 up, but they're in wide areas and they can both create. So both Savio and Doku start today. Hopefully we'll get a longer chance at half-time to talk about how they're doing in today's game. Very, very exciting to see them, and then Marmoush and Haaland today. So less than 10 minutes now until kick-off. We're going to head back over now to the London Stadium to get the final thoughts from FG and Michael Brown.
Yes, thank you. Welcome back to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. You can see the players behind us. Final preparations in preparation for the game. You're on the Manchester City side of the warm-up. So what have you made of them so far?
They look sharp. Doku looks good. The way he's pinging the balls is immense. And then I'm seeing the 3 English boys, Foden, McAtee, and obviously Oscar Bob warming up as well. And they're just, the strength and depth is insane. Like, the quality of you guys is just, it's crazy. Yeah, Haaland's a man-child. He's a beast. Look, there you go, them dapping up. Yeah, I'm excited and scared at the same time. It's a weird feeling.
Brownie, let's take a look at this. We're seeing this live on Matchday Live right now. The players motivating each other. I mean, it shows a lot of togetherness, a lot of leadership. Ruben, of course, is a leader and stuff, and Nico, experienced players as well.
Yeah, there is experience there, but this looks like a new sort of setup, doesn't it? When we see new players coming into the side. Jeremy Doku, very, very exciting at the weekend. Marmoush, just looking, thinking, what's he going to bring? Where's the spaces? In this game, it should be end-to-end. They've got attacking players with pace, so that means we might see it a little bit more open than Pep likes. So different setup. There's Haaland having a little walk away now, just thinking, how does he play his way in? Had a little injury. How does he start the game? What's going through his mind? He'll just want a supply line. We just had a little look there before, didn't we, about some diagonal passes. Will we see crosses coming in a little bit quicker for him?
I mean, it looked like what Brownie's talking about is in the warm-up. It was a crossfield ball from Ruben Diaz in towards the winger, a 1-2 with the midfielder, and then straight in the box first time to Erling Haaland. When you practice things like that as a player, especially on a stadium you're about to play at, is that a sign of what's to come, do you think?
No, I mean, sometimes it's that, but you don't look too much into it. You wouldn't show all your hand, would you? Just a couple of passes. I do think as well, you look at Ederson into Haaland if they're trying to creep up the pitch, and I think our press is really, really important tonight. Haaland, Mamouche has got to stop. Obviously, Porro getting on the ball. Goalkeeper wants to play out short, so it'll be important that we press from the front very early in the game.
And what about that for a bench behind us as well? The players have gone in, but you've got the likes of James McAtee, Rico Lewis, Nathan Ake, Kevin De Bruyne, Jack Grealish, Phil Foden. That is some bench, isn't it?
Oh, it's insane. They would start for like 95% of the Premier League teams. I'm just looking at the depth and saying, I wish one day we can have that strength and depth. It's just amazing to see, and it's just how good the Premier League is. It's beautiful, man. It's beautiful.
And from a perspective of the Manchester City back line, the defensive line, who do you expect from a Spurs perspective to cause them the most problems, and what are you expecting from the Spurs attack?
I think from our perspective, we want to obviously target the centre-backs. They haven't played that many games together, so we want to try and get in behind them. Obviously, Tell is quite fresh to the Premier League, so I have a point to prove. And then it's just, can we catch you guys out? You'll be focusing primarily on your offensive duties. Can we catch you guys sleeping?
Right, give us a prediction before we head back. We're not going to let you go without a prediction, of course.
Man, you're putting me on the spot here, man. I'm going to say 2-1 Spurs. I have to back my boys. I have to back them.
Brownie, how do you see you going?
Well, I've just been asked along the line by somebody else about how many goals. There's going to be more than 4 goals in this game. I expect a flood of them, and that's what we want to see. Exciting Premier League game, that's for certain.
Well, absolutely, and you want to listen to this man on co-coms as well throughout it. We'll be back to you at half-time, but from now, the London Stadium, it's clearly time to kick off, so we're going to get ready for that.
Thanks, FG. Thanks, Michael Brown, and thank you to Patrick. So that is the London Stadium lit up. What is that? What is that animal? A cockerel? Yeah. I always wondered what that was. It's a cockerel. OK, about 6 minutes now until kick-off at 7:30 p.m. You'll get your full match commentary, as always, on the Manchester City app with Alistair Mann and with Michael Brown. Right, gents, what we thinking? Give me your final thoughts, and then in a second, we'll get your score prediction.
Both teams to score.
OK, how many times?
Oh, you want a prediction now?
Go on, yeah.
I've gone 3-1. 3-1 Man City.
OK, you had to say City there, Keith. I was worried.
No, well, I wouldn't be here if I didn't think City were going to win.
That's the answer, Keith. OK, Shaun, what are you thinking?
I was wondering if I could plead the fifth, because every time I say something, it goes the other way. So I don't really want to...
Okay, go for a Spurs win then.
No, I can't say that. I could never say that either. I don't know. I think the way we're set up, much like the Liverpool game, we're set up to be exciting and very, very attacking. And that icing on the cake is that Haaland's in there to maybe take the chances that are created. So I would say, honestly, I think we win this game and more comfortably than people think.
Beautiful timing that, Shaun, as Erling Haaland popped up on the screen. There is the teams in the tunnel. So, did you give us a score there?
No.
Are you going to?
No, I'm just going to say we're going to win.
OK, we'll take it. Keith Curle, thank you very much. Shaun Wright-Phillips, thank you. Thank you all for watching Matchday Live. We'll be back at half-time and full-time, of course, as always. Going to hand over now to the wonderful Alistair Mann and Michael Brown, who are your commentators for today's game. Come on, City.
Thank you, Natalie. Welcome to arguably one of the best stadiums in Europe. It is a stunning facility. And City, of course, have now won here a couple of times, both in the FA Cup and, of course, in the Premier League, in that vital game as they were a win away from winning the Premier League title for the 4th time in a row. They come here in very different circumstances, of course. Well, February always looked a very tough month for the Blues, and so it's proven to be, with fresh injuries complicating an already punishing schedule still further. Tonight the Blues face their 7th match in 24 days, having travelled to face Tottenham Hotspur, who've already beaten City twice this season. All that said, City are still in the midst of a potentially exciting period, striving to cement Champions League football next season and searching for an FA Cup for the 2nd time in 3 years. A 5th Premier League crown in a row may well be beyond them, but this could still be a campaign to savour, with the inaugural FIFA Club World Cup, of course, still looming at the end of the domestic season.